Are we so back? And if we are, who is the cause for that as the Bitcoin ETF flows hit a record outflow in the US, but overseas in Asia and in Europe, ETF flows have risen, and also Europe's second largest bank just showed that they have exposure to Bitcoin ETFs. What does that mean? Michael Saylor, their event for corporations for Bitcoin, what did he unveil with digital IDs? How is it going to work? And is it going to be a game changer for digital identities moving forward? We have some news on DeFi. Are the altcoins getting ready to crash? We're going to share a tweet from Forrest about what coins maybe you should keep an eye on that retail will come in and buy. We're going to go over that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Joined today with my man Forrest. We also have Gravy Train in studio. Or sorry, Ashley in studio.
Gravy Train again, dog.
I forgot about that. Ashley, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're excited to have you. Obviously, you see, we changed from red to green as the markets are up. Yes, we are flip-flopping on our emotions here, as our portfolios are flip-flopping from negative to positive gains. And so a lot going on in the cryptocurrency space, how to navigate it, what coins to keep an eye on. We're going to go over all that in today's video. So let's jump right into it. I did mention a historic day for Bitcoin ETFs here in the United States, but not in a good way. Red across the board. BlackRock bleeding $36.9 million in Bitcoin for the ETF. Fidelity, $191 million flowed out. $29 million from ARK, $98 million from Bitwise, and Grayscale, $167.4 million, bringing our grand total to over $500 million of ETF flows to the negative. And guess what, guys? Bitcoin is still, let's scroll down here. Bitcoin is almost at $60,000. Doesn't make sense, does it? Unless you look at what Hong Kong did yesterday. Hong Kong ETFs had $292 million in inflows on the first day. That's almost 30% of the Bloomberg estimate of $1 billion in 2 years. So we obviously know the Asian and Hong Kong market is not as deep, liquid, and large as the US capital markets. So we didn't expect it to be that 500, 600 million days, but damn, $300 million for us. That's pretty massive from Hong Kong. What are your thoughts on the outflows in the US, and what are your thoughts on the inflows overseas in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think the outflows are kind of what we discussed yesterday. Obviously, the S&P 500, NASDAQ are down. So you're just going to have a lot of institutional actors in the space de-risking. And I think Bitcoin to them is a risk asset similar to stocks or equities that they are looking to de-risk from. And then we just have this nice boost from Hong Kong. That's surprising. 292 million is really, really solid. So hopefully that is not an aberration of just like one person getting in. Hopefully that's spread across a lot of different institutions or a lot of different individuals that are driving that. And hopefully we see some continuation of that trend.
So for us, it might sound like a stupid question, but maybe for people watching, they don't understand what the significance of that is. Why would it be bad if it was one person? Well, maybe not bad, but why would it be better if it was a group of people versus, hey, just one big bank, one big whale, one big institution, pension fund?
Yeah, so if it's just like one person, they may have just taken their entire allocation and, let's say 250 million of that 292 is just one institution. I don't have the facts behind that. But if it is, maybe they're done. Maybe that's all they wanted. They just wanted to get in on day one and they're good now. But if that was, dozens of different entities investing in Bitcoin, they may be dollar cost averaging in, TWAPing in, and taking larger allocations over a period of time. Or there just may be more individuals that did not buy on day one that may buy now. So yeah, I think it's bullish. I think it's a good thing to see.
Yeah, I just kind of piggyback off what Forrest is saying. It's more of, hey, is this going to be sustained? Are people piling in, or was it just one big player? Thanks for breaking that down for us. Speaking of buying, we had Mr. 100. We still haven't figured out who it is, but we got speculation here. Forrest, you were saying that you believe it's the Saudis, the Oman of Qatar. There's links to Max Kaiser, and they were in El Salvador with Nayib Bukele. But this is from Invest Answers. Mr. 100 is on a Bitcoin buying spree. Grabbed another 310 Bitcoin in the last few minutes. That is almost 2,500 BTC in less than 4 hours. Wow. That's it's pretty crazy. You think we're going to see more of this, Forrest? We're going to see more of, as these quarterly filings come in, and we actually, we're going to go over one big bank that actually showed that, hey, they put Bitcoin ETF on their balance sheet. Do you think we're going to see more of this? And do you still think it's the Saudis? What are your thoughts here?
I have no idea who this is. It could be anybody.
Is it you?
It could be the Saudis. It could be China. It could be Russia. It's not me.
Okay.
Look, China is buying a lot of gold, and they are telling their citizens to buy gold and silver. It's very clear that they want to move in a lot of these BRICS countries. It's very clear that they want to de-dollarize. They want to move off of the dollar. Whether that's through a diversification of different commodities like gold and silver, and then also maybe oil and Bitcoin. Who knows if they view Bitcoin as something that could potentially be, the solution for de-dollarization. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But it does look like the fact that this looks like somebody that has, clearly a lot of money, but it also looks like they may have plenty more to go because of the acceleration that we saw when Bitcoin dipped. Went from buying 100 at a time to 200 and 300 on a few of those buys. So looks like they were happy to buy into this dip. And it could be Bezos. I doubt it. Although it wouldn't be out of the question. But it certainly seems like somebody that's a larger entity, maybe a country.
Bezos did sell $8 billion of Amazon stock. What did he do with it? We know he's not holding it in cash, or we can assume he's not holding it in cash. Smart guy, build a multi-billion, trillion-dollar empire. So I think obviously one of these days we'll figure out who it is. But as long as they keep buying, this is good. Good for price. Number go up. Like Robin says, green good, red bad. Buying good, selling bad. Now,
Green
which
is
bank?
Good.
What's up?
Green is good.
What happened?
Green? Good.
Green, good. Yes, green, good.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
So, the second largest bank in Europe, BNP Paribas, reports exposure to Bitcoin ETF in their 13F filings. It is just getting started. This was tweeted from Bitcoin Magazine. I also want to share this from BlackRock. BlackRock sees sovereign wealth funds and pensions coming to Bitcoin ETFs. And why is this of significance? Well, when BlackRock speaks, people listen. So financial institutions are holding diligence and research conversations with BlackRock playing an educational role, said Robert Michnick, the firm's head of digital assets. The coming months could see financial institutions such as sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and endowments start to trade in the spot ETFs. He is quoted as saying, many of these interested firms, whether we're talking about pensions, endowments, sovereign wealth funds, insurers, or other asset managers, family offices, are having ongoing diligence and research conversations, and we're playing a role from an educational standpoint. He said, and the interest is not new. BlackRock has been talking about Bitcoin to these sorts of institutions for several years. What kind of impact for us can this have? We're talking about pension funds that have multiple, like hundreds of billions. Some even have funds in the trillions. Obviously this is bullish, but do you have any insight or anything else you want to kind of add to what BlackRock is saying? Do you think they're just saying this to kind of push people into their product, or this is actually happening?
I think at the end of the day, BlackRock is very incentivized to see the AUM on their ETF go through the roof. The more people that buy Bitcoin, the more money that they make, at least through their ETF. So I think no matter what, they are going to be pushing the Bitcoin narrative. They're going to be shilling their bags. They're going to be shilling Bitcoin. That's great for the price of Bitcoin. It is interesting. This is kind of what it pointed me in the direction of thinking maybe Mr. 100 is the Saudi wealth fund. I think it's PIF. I think they have like $620 billion under management. But yeah, I mean, it would be kind of that would, I'm sure BlackRock likely knows who that person is accumulating Bitcoin. So maybe this is them telling us. I don't know. At the end of the day, the larger players that get into Bitcoin, the more bullish it is for the price because they have much more money than the average retailer.
Very true. And then throw retail in once they finally get here. Then you don't need me to spell out the rest. Greenpeace USA just launched a new campaign video. Well, let's watch it.
Internet money.
What the f? I'm very real.
Bitcoin is a digital currency with very real climate consequences.
Yeah, whatever.
Of all of crypto, Bitcoin uses the most electricity in its creation, and its effects on the power grid is huge. I'm talking old coal plants reopening huge. Over 16 million extra cars on the road huge. The entire annual emissions of the Netherlands huge.
I'm kind of a big deal.
So this fake internet money
I am not fake.
is causing some real climate problems. Let's clean up Bitcoin before it becomes an even bigger deal.
Curious, how do they plan on cleaning up Bitcoin? What are your thoughts on a video like that?
It is so dirty.
What's up?
The Bitcoin is super dirty, bro.
Yeah. They failed to mention all the miners that set up shop near old plants that closed down that still spew methane gas that is harmful for the environment and the atmosphere, and they harness that to mine the Bitcoin. Of course, they forget about that. They also forget about in places where they actually secure the energy grid and are able to unplug when there is a surge. What other business will be able to do that? None of them. Forrest or Robin, since you're on here, any pushback on this, or what do you say to the people that say Bitcoin is, it's bad for the environment, it's too energy intensive? I know what I would say, but I'm curious what you guys were saying. What are your thoughts on the video?
I'd say that at some point in the future, I mean, maybe 10 years from now, Bitcoin's energy consumption will be quite substantial, or at least magnitude larger than it is now, by a factor of 5, 10. And so it is an issue, right? How much energy does Bitcoin use, and is it necessary at that scale, right? And I don't think that Bitcoin gets a bad rap because of how much energy it uses, but not taken into consideration is the green part of the energy usage, right? It's the renewables, it's the offloading of energy that goes unused. And so you can't create a power plant and be 100% efficient, right? You need to have headroom for surges, right? And so we know that a city in the south, kind of like Las Vegas, where it's in a desert, we know that it uses substantially a lot more energy in the middle of summer when all the ACs are pumping. So you need to have the headroom for that. But in the middle of the winter, obviously your energy demands are far from where it is in the summer. But you don't just reduce your amount of energy consumption, right? I mean, you don't reduce the amount of energy produced. Here in Vegas, we use a hydroelectric dam, the Hoover Dam. And so the energy is there. So why not capitalize on it? Because all of the power plant situations, or all the grids, that's how they operate. They got a surplus. So why not use it? And with that said, do need to keep in mind, maybe something needs to be addressed in the future, because the energy usage is going to keep expanding. And at some point, I mean, I don't know if they're going to change something at the protocol level, maybe reduce how fast the difficulty goes up, or have some kind of limit in place for the hash rate. Because right now it's a lot of energy use, but what's it going to look like 10 years from now?
Forrest, what are your thoughts? And I'll kind of give mine.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that proof of work is versus proof of stake is kind of dumb, but not for the energy, not because like climate change or anything like that. I'm not like into the whole like climate change argument, whatever. I won't get political there, but for me, it's like the cost of that energy. That energy is just like being burned and going to the the people, the power companies. I think 5-10 years down the road, you may see BlackRock, who is extraordinarily like ESG friendly. That's been like their whole thing for the last decade, is like investing in green things. Um, I think they may try to lead a fork from proof of work to proof of stake down the road. I know that's like a heavily contentious opinion. I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon. But if they have most of the Bitcoin custodied in their ETF, and they have all the influence, and they can put out propaganda on Bitcoin for the 4, 5, 6 years, they can get everybody on board and probably move to proof of stake, which I actually would believe would be a positive change personally. But yeah, I mean, also just it's bad for Bitcoin's price, like unequivocally. Like Bitcoin's price is it kind of capped by the fact that there is a cost to mine Bitcoin, and that cost has to be paid back or offset by the selling of Bitcoin from miners. So, for example, like Kathy Wood recently came out and just like upped her price targets and said Bitcoin could go to 2.5 billion or 2.5 million dollars, and it's like you do realize that at 2.5 million per Bitcoin, 450 Bitcoin mined per day after this halving, has just taken place. That's like $1.1 billion in energy burned, and 1.1 billion per day, and $1.1 billion per day in Bitcoin sell pressure from miners selling Bitcoin. I just think in the long run, like proof of stake just makes way more sense for anyone who's like into the climate thing, but also it'd be better for the price of Bitcoin, in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty unpopular opinions there. I get that.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you, Forrest. I think moving to proof of stake would not be good. I think, we talk about all the time, people trying to change Bitcoin. Just leave it the way it is. It's there for a reason. I think the answer is going to be, we already see majority of miners, I think over 52 or 53% of all Bitcoin mining is through renewable energy. Also, these miners are incentivized to continue to bring their costs down, especially as we get into the next halving and then the one after that. And so could we see a new source of energy be found somewhere? Could we see, we know they're going to spend the money for infrastructure. Are they going to build things like I mentioned in those areas? We know how much those landfills, how much methane that they release into the atmosphere. Could something like that be harnessed? They're already kind of doing it, but not at large scale. So when you have a sector of a business that is incentivized to drive the cost of energy down, I think it's going to be a net positive for the entire globe. What does that look like 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years from now? I don't know.
I know Forrest brought up the fork situation with BlackRock, but I mean, I think that they could do a BIP proposal, right? And I think with the influence that BlackRock has, especially if they broaden their investments into publicly traded mining companies, we know that the diversification of how many companies are mining is dwindling, right? It's only like 13 miners are mining majority of the Bitcoin now. And so could they influence a proposal? Maybe not quite as dramatic as go to proof of stake, but maybe they limit the hash power. I don't know, man. I think I think that at some point things get called into question. And if the energy consumption does 10x from where it is, which the trajectory is saying it will eventually, and just a matter of when, do we do something about it, or do the Bitcoin maxis just keep pounding their fist on the table and saying, hey, it's more decentralized and harder to attack the network because of look how much energy it takes? I mean, at some point, like, hey, it takes as much energy as the sun. Nobody could take over it except for another sun. You know what I mean? Like at some point, it gets a little ridiculous. And maybe BlackRock having as much influence as they do, maybe there's a BIP proposal. Maybe they do something about how much energy or hash rate or I don't know. I don't even know what that looks like. Obviously, I'm not a cryptographer, so I don't even know if that's possible. But I'm just saying that, BIP proposals are something that we do see. We saw one back in 2021. Will we see another one?
It'll be interesting. I want to rotate this conversation from Bitcoin to some altcoin news. So we just had news. PayPal users can now purchase the following cryptocurrencies through MoonPay. These include Solana, Cardano, Polkadot, Chainlink, Shiba Inu, and Dogecoin. To piggyback off that, I want to share this tweet from Forrest. And then, Forrest, I'll go to you after this.
Yeah, you saw my Polkadot shirt?
Yeah.
Rep it, bro.
Wow, bullish on Polkadot, huh?
Yeah, today. Just today.
Forrest, you tweeted this. You say, people will say, I can't wait for retail to come and buy my coins, then not actually own any retail coins. Retail is not coming for your liquid staking governance tokens. Can you maybe elaborate on that? What do you mean by that? Should people be targeting? Should they just shift their whole investment thesis of, hey, just in one of your checklists, if you have one of them should be, hey, is this something retail will pile into? Should people not even hold coins that maybe is about technology or whatever the case may be? What are your thoughts on? What do you mean with this?
No, I mean, I think you can invest in things that aren't necessarily super retail friendly and still do extraordinarily well. I mean, you look at something like Jito, which is a liquid staking governance token that's done extraordinarily well. It's actually up quite a bit today. But there just seems to be this obsession on the Twitter timeline of like, I can't wait for retail to get here and bid up all the prices on our coins. And it's like, well, you realize that like Lido and Jito and those are just off the top of my, like these random DeFi protocols or these random gaming tokens. It's like they're not available to the masses on Robinhood. They're not available to the masses now on PayPal. Like you see what's listed on Robinhood and PayPal, and like those are the and then on Coinbase as well. Coinbase has more listings than either of those two. But you look what's available on Robinhood, and it's like, those are the coins that are the most retail friendly. That's where a lot of retail people invest. They don't have time to sit and open up TradingView all day long. They just have Robinhood and they invest in stocks and invest in crypto when the time comes. They're investing small amounts, but there's tons and tons and tons of these Robinhood users, and they can drive up the price on something, especially when there's 12 options for them in the crypto space and they want crypto exposure. So no, I just think if your thesis is centered around, like if your expectation for this market is that retail users are going to come in droves and buy up the prices or buy up crypto, then like if that's your thesis, it makes sense to be in what they have availability for. It makes sense to be in the coins that they actually have the ability to buy. If they don't have the ability to buy, whatever coin, number 50 on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, they're probably not going to have a ton of effect on the price of that specific token.
True Dukel said, thank you for that post, Forrest. So he wants to thank you. So Forrest, we went over yesterday news from Robinhood, their connect feature, being able to connect to Uniswap and whatever, balance or money you can onboard from Robinhood and then kind of bridge that over or connect it over to Uniswap. So do you think as we move forward and more things like this come to fruition, obviously we saw with MoonPay, PayPal, Robinhood, Uniswap, is exchange listings going to matter less, or do you think people are still going to be prone to buy just whatever's on Robinhood in my app, or, oh, look, I can bridge to Uniswap and buy other coins on there?
Yeah, I think it depends on Robinhood's user interface and how they kind of implement this. I'd be really interested to see. One, I think with Uniswap ETH-based tokens, I think a lot of retail investors are really going to be sensitive to those $20, $25 gas fees. And I know the Robinhood's not covering that for them. So I don't know how much of an effect it'll have on Uniswap's Ethereum implementation. Maybe for a few tokens it will, but I think if Robinhood were to do the same thing for Solana and Jupiter, I think that would like push a lot of retail money into some of these meme coins that are on Solana, because the fees are so small. Like if you're just if you're like the average person, like the average millennial or Gen Z Robinhood investor, and you've got like $2,000 in your account, and you're like, spread across 10 different things, so your average position is like $200. You don't want to like put $200 into an ERC20 token through their Uniswap interface, get charged a fee by Robinhood, and then get charged. Well, actually, Robinhood I don't think charges fees, so you get charged like $20 in a gas fee, and then like you only get $180 of the cryptocurrency. So, and then also like, as far as their user interface goes, like, are they going to have like a list of hot tokens on Uniswap? Like, are they going to have like push people towards a specific, specific tokens, and have them like have like a way for Robinhood users to discover tokens that are like trending or large market cap? Or is it just going to be like a search function where you have to know the name of the token and then search for it? If they have like trending tokens, then I think, trending tokens on Robinhood's Uniswap integration could potentially do really, really well. But again, I think gas fees. I think retail users are very sensitive to gas fees, and eventually like to see a Solana-based integration on Robinhood.
That'd be interesting with Fire Dancer. We're gonna get into the markets here, but before we do, I'm looking at our like ratio here, and we're at 66 likes and 214 viewers. We would appreciate it if you guys, the least you can do is just that little button that looks like this. Just click it, but don't click it twice.
That looked like that.
Then you don't like it. Yeah. So to show you how important the like button is, we have Ashley to tell you. Ashley, tell them how important it is for them to hit the like button.
The like button is so important.
Wow.
So important.
Thank you for that so much, Ashley.
I know.
Amazing.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into the cryptocurrency markets. Volume is currently down 6.14%. Bitcoin dominance has fallen below 53%, but Bitcoin is at $59,210. I'm not going to lie. When I saw those ETF, when I saw the first numbers come out that Fidelity sold $190 million, like, oh, it's going to be bloody. And then Hong Kong numbers came in. It was great. Forest, BTC. I know we briefly spoke on this yesterday as far as what some key levels to break and reclaim to make you go more bullish. What are you seeing on the charts now? Full 24 hours removed from Jerome Powell with the new ETF flows in. What are you seeing on the Bitcoin chart?
Sure, I'll pull up a Bitcoin chart here. Pretty straightforward. Let me go out to like maybe the hourly, zoom out. And I'll clean this chart up just a little bit. I've got a couple of lines I'm paying attention to, but really all you really need to pay attention to here is the broader range. So we had this big wick down to 59K. That's been kind of like the line in the sand of, hey, if we break below this and hold below it, it's pretty bearish, but it's extremely bullish if we revalidate this, right? So we are making an attempt to get back into this range. Now, we have tons of resistance here at 60K or 59.7. So we're not quite there yet. But if we can spend 3-4 days in this region, or we can get up to like 62, 63K, like through the 60K region. So either we need to kind of have the time-based aspect where we spend a ton of time around, 59, 60K, 3, 4, 5 days going into like, next week. That would be one way to revalidate this range, and it'd be very bullish. Or if we just shot straight up to like 63, 64K, that would be another path that I would say is very bullish. Right now, it's kind of up in the air. We are trying to get back in there. Technically, above 59K is good, and the more time we spend above 59K, the better. But I still think this has plenty of time to work itself out. We could very well still get rejected back out of here. And if we do, then that's bearish and probably headed towards, 50K. I will say, I think the time-based component here from some of the time-based analysis that I've done around May 7th to 8th, which is basically like Monday through Wednesday of next week. So basically this time next week, late next week, I think wherever we've put a bottom in will probably be the bottom. So we could have one more dip down here, maybe to the 55K to 50K levels if it gets violent. But I do expect some buyers to start coming in, towards next week. Whether we put a new low in or not. But really the thing to pay attention to is quite simply like getting back up above 60K, getting back up above, into the 62, 63K region. Very, very bullish. And in my opinion, would make it very likely that we move back up above 70K and then higher and break out again.
I like that. Higher and break out again. Let's do that. Yeah. Taking a look at the rest of the markets here. ETH still under $3,000, coming in at $29.88. It is up 0.5% over the last 24 hours. ETH not really moving. BNB at 563. Solana saw a nice rally, up 6.7% over the last 24 hours, sitting at $138.82. XRP, 52 cents. Doge at 13 cents. Toncoin. We have some big news for Toncoin. A big VC firm just dumped some money into that project. And then Cardano, 45.5 cents. Forrest, can we look at a Cardano chart? We haven't looked at it in a while. I feel like the community, some people are maybe starting to give up on Cardano. It hasn't really moved. We know historically looking, when this thing gets moving, it really moves. What are you seeing on the chart? Is the chart telling you that we might be gearing up for a big move for ADA, or is this just a bad looking chart? What are your thoughts?
I mean, the chart looks fine as long as we're holding above, call it 41 cents or so. I mean, that's historical support and resistance. For me, I just don't have a thesis for Cardano. Like I just don't have like what is the fundamental catalyst that's going to cause people to FOMO into this and drive this to new all-time highs. Like, I just don't know what that is. Personally, I could be just out of the loop on Cardano, but no, I mean, as long as it holds here, I mean, you do have, no divergences here aside from the bearish divergence that has pretty much played out now. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to buy Cardano, buying it around here on this back test would make a lot of sense. You kind of have your inverse, head and shoulders trying to form here. But I would say the chart doesn't look bad. It's just definitely been an underperformer. The thing to pay attention to on Cardano, in my opinion, would be the Cardano Bitcoin chart, which, if I'm being 100% honest here, looks really suspect, really bad. So we've kind of broken out of this. Like, you would have liked to see this hold support here and start traveling back up. And, we've done exactly the opposite. We've broken out of the bottom here. So what I would be waiting for Cardano is for it to play its hand. Like, wouldn't want to get into Cardano here and just be like the person that's sitting and waiting for it to run. You can see, like, last cycle against Bitcoin, it had like this really bullish expanding volatility and this huge break upwards. Right now, Cardano just doesn't have the Bitcoin chart and the US dollar chart doesn't have anything that's like making me want to buy this. If we did this and we revalidated this trend line, and this could take a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, if it starts outperforming against Bitcoin, it jams back up onto this trend. That is the signal that, hey, buyers are coming in. This is back in play. Now we're in like this huge bullish weekly pattern for ADA versus Bitcoin. That would pique my interest quite a bit, and I'd probably want to be a buyer here. But for right now, I don't want to be in something that's just potentially going to underperform or chop sideways. The US dollar pair, I think, is fine if you want to buy it. I don't think you're going to get wrecked buying it here on support. Below this level, it starts to get pretty bearish, to be honest, getting accepted back into that sub 40 cent range. I don't like that idea. But if we start winding up here and we get something like this and we get expanding volatility, right, it could take a long time to play out. But if it did play out like this, okay, now all of a sudden we've got a very bullish pattern, and I'd be much more inclined to buy. I'm not against Cardano by any means, but any chart I pull up, I want to have reasons to buy it. I want to either have a fundamental catalyst, something coming up that's going to make a lot of other people want to buy Cardano, or just a bullish chart showing that, hey, people are coming in and they're buying this, and we're printing bullish patterns. So that for me personally right now is absent, but I think because of the huge bids we've seen from retail and Cardano in past market cycles is definitely something that you want to be paying close attention to. And if those trade opportunities do present themselves, then being willing to jump in at a moment's notice for Cardano is probably smart.
What I'm excited about ADA is once we get that Chang hard fork and going into unlocking the almost $1 billion in treasury, to where the community is going to have full control over that. So, hey, Cardano people, ADA holders, if you think there's something missing from the ecosystem, whether it's a stable coin, whether it's marketing, whether it's whatever, you will have the freedom to come up with a proposal and vote on it, or delegate your ADA to someone else to be able to vote on these things. And so they're essentially going to be handing the keys to you guys. Like I said, if you are I don't want to say a short-term holder, but if you're someone who is bothered by, hey, this thing hasn't moved in 6 months, it hasn't moved in 4 months, Cardano is not really a project you should have exposure to. But your time horizon is a lot longer. Cardano, 45 cents. I mean, we saw a rally up to $3 and I believe it was 8 cents in the last market without any smart contract functionality, no dApps, no NFTs, nothing. That ecosystem is here. Will we still get that retail-driven FOMO that we saw last cycle and this cycle, plus all the utility and use case, plus the unlocking of the treasury? It'll be interesting to see. You just got to remain patient. Cardano's one of those projects. It's not going to give you a 2, 3, 4, 5x when you want it in 6 months, 6 weeks. When you see projects like Solana, like Arweave, like some of these meme coins, just 10, 20, 50, 100x in a matter of weeks, Cardano's not going to do that. But again, once it gets going, it really gets going. Take a look here at the the rest of the markets here. Some of the top gainers: Arweave up 18.48%. The top gainer in the top 100 over the last 24 hours. Pepe up 12.8%. Axelar, Optimism, Immutable X, Polkadot changing. Okay. Did you see that?
Did you say Polkadot?
Is that you? Oh, yeah, look at that. It's fire, and then it turns into their logo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow, so Polkadot is working behind the scenes, guys.
Polkadot Day.
Polkadot is working behind the scenes. They've made an update to CoinMarketCap.
And behind the scenes, you got Big Rob.
And Big Rob, yeah.
Polkadot shirt as well. There it is.
Wow.
Also, big shout out to those of you that are new here, first time viewers. If you are new, say hello. We'd love to give you a shout out. We got Marie N, VV Zombie, Mark V, Eddie PT, Manuel, Mickey, Maui, James Fennell, and I am Jay. And also, God bless to all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right. Let's listen to the executive chairman of MicroStrategy, Mr. Michael Saylor, at their Bitcoin for Corporations event, talking about rolling out a product, digital IDs, and having it on Bitcoin. And then we'll kind of get our thoughts on this. So let's take a listen.
Put the two together, and that's something really special, the DID plus the key pair. So what we're proposing is an open standard. It's DID:BTC. It's open and compliant with decentralized identifiers. It's simple, it's secure, it's extensible, and it's efficient. What's really exciting about this is you can integrate with this at the layer 2. So this is an open protocol to the world. Anybody could just work with this protocol and build their own stack of enterprise apps or retail apps or the like. But it's also interesting because it's extremely efficient. You could burn up to 10,000 of these identifiers in a single Bitcoin transaction. So imagine doing one off-peak transaction, and then you've captured or created 10,000 orange checks. And of course, they're good. To say they're good for life is maybe an understatement. I mean, they're good for lifetimes, right? Once you've created this, maybe it's good for 100 years or hundreds of years. So it's kind of a cool idea. It's a lot better idea for identity than I pay 5 different big tech companies $8 a month or $100 a month or $1 a month for the rest of my life in order to keep my verification check. This one you can take with you.
So then he goes on enterprise, how it's going to work on the enterprise level, the individual level. Forrest, this has got a lot of backlash from some community members saying, hey, they want to spam the Bitcoin network. He did go over the efficiency of it, being able to do 10,000 of these digital IDs per block. We know there's a problem with people losing money thinking that their favorite content creator or Michael Saylor, for example, or a big executive is doing some sort of giveaway, or, hey, is this the real Michael Saylor account or whatever, issues. And it's only going to get worse with AI. We're already seeing people talk about, hey, I got a phone call that sounded just like my mom or just like my whoever asking me to send them money. And how are people supposed to tell the difference? So it sounds like a solution that can solve some of these issues. What are your thoughts on this? And then he also went on to say this could be applicable on a layer 2 level as well. So something like Stacks, something like ICP. What are your thoughts on this and the digital identities? We know Cardano has kind of planted its flag in the digital identity. We know Polygon is doing something similar. What are your thoughts on what Michael Saylor is proposing here?
To be 100% honest, I don't fully understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish here. Is this like Ethereum naming service where they have like a .bitcoin name, or like a wallet that's like .bitcoin? He
gives the idea, or he gives the example of, how you have the check marks on, let's just say X, that verify, hey, this is this person. You have a gold check mark if you subscribe as like an enterprise or a company, and anyone else tied to yours gets check marks, so you know who is who. He's saying this would be like an orange check mark that takes your private and your public key, and that's how they verify it as truly you and not an imposter and someone else. And you can use it across multiple different platforms, enterprises. So it's essentially a way to verify someone's ID on the blockchain digitally using private and public keys. That you would do it once, and it would be available for the rest of your life.
I think I'm missing something here, to be honest. Like, I don't know what the need for doing this on Bitcoin is. Like, I have to read more into it. I'm not trying to like bash it or anything. Like, I think I'm just missing something here. Like, I don't see the point of it. I got to research it more, because it might be something that's like I'm just missing something and it makes a lot of sense. But I don't know where the whole doing this on Bitcoin makes sense.
I can answer that question, because it's Michael Saylor. Like, he's not going to come out and say we're building it on Polygon, something more efficient, right? So his thesis is we're going to build this on Bitcoin because it is the most secure, open, and decentralized network in the world. But again, we know there's other projects like Cardano, like Polygon, who are building these digital identities. I think we can all agree that being able to verify whether it's truly you, whether it's sending an email, sending money, asking for something, it's important in a digital age, especially with AI. It's important for people to know, hey, is this really me? Well, how are we going to do it without spending a lot of money, especially with bots on social media? And so this is their solution that they're working on, and they're going to leverage Bitcoin because, of course, according to Mr. Saylor, it's the most decentralized, permissionless, secure network in the world. Although it might not be the most efficient.
Yeah, I mean, I just like Bitcoin wasn't built for this. I just let Bitcoin be Bitcoin. Let it be the store of value thing. I don't know. I think there's just more efficient networks to do this on. But it's Michael Saylor. I get it. Hopefully it takes off for him. But I probably won't be making one. I don't know. It's like you have to kind of get everybody on the same standard. So. No, I mean, whatever standard takes off, and if this one takes off, then that'll be great. But I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I'm just like missing something. Like, it just does not make sense to me. But I could just totally be missing something.
He stepped away as CEO of MicroStrategy to become the executive chairman. So a lot of time has freed up. So who knows? Can we get more product launches from MicroStrategy on Bitcoin? We know they're not going to, excuse me. We know they're not going to launch any product or service on any other network because obviously we know Michael's stance. There is no second best, he says, right? All right, let's jump into some headline news here. So this was pretty interesting for us. Altcoins in trouble as seasoned analyst predicts 40% drop in prices. This came from a Bitcoin maximalist. So in an analysis posted on X, seasoned crypto analyst Benjamin Cowan shocked the crypto community with his expectation for altcoins. According to the analysis, the worst is far from over for the altcoin market, and there are still more crashes to come. His reasoning, he pointed to the 2019 rate cuts and how altcoins had reacted to that development back then. Following the rate cuts, altcoins plunged against Bitcoin, with major players recording up to 40% losses during that time. Of course, forecasting, we're going to see at least one rate cut this year. What are your thoughts on that, Forrest? I know we kind of spoke on this a little bit yesterday as far as how altcoins actually held up pretty decent comparative to what Bitcoin did when it crashed from 64, 65K down to 56. What are your thoughts on this analysis from Benjamin Cowan? Do you think rate cuts are going to be a net negative for altcoins? What are your thoughts here?
I mean, rate cuts are usually accompanied by like some major reason for the Fed being forced to cut rates, like some sort of catastrophe. If those rate cuts lead to the yield curve reinverting, that's usually like super bearish and leads to recession. So I'm not against like my kind of like 1 to 2 year time frame is like, hey, everything's probably going to crash pretty hard to some degree. Just I don't know what the black swan is going to be particularly. But yeah, I mean, I'm not against more, but it sounds like he thinks like we're like it's imminent. Like as soon as we get a rate cut, it's going down. I don't know. I think it'll probably take more of time than that to play out. In the short term, I am bullish. In the short term, Bitcoin dominance looks super weak and is starting to fall out of an ascending wedge. I think we looked at that chart yesterday. Yeah. So. That's kind of I just need to see his timeline for that type of prediction. But yeah, I mean, rate cuts being bearish. I'm open to that idea. I know everyone's kind of like, oh, as soon as they cut rates, the market's going to skyrocket. I think it could skyrocket in the short term, but ultimately, usually there's a reason they're cutting rates. They don't like to cut rates unless they, and they're trying to hold off on cutting rates until they absolutely have to in order to get inflation down. Now, if they just cut rates because like inflation's back down at 2%, and the rest of the economy is like seems to be doing fine, and they cut rates, then maybe we get the soft landing. But
there's this chart right there.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I feel like that's kind of like n equals 1, right? That's one data point. That just seems like it could be, and maybe there's a relationship there, but that just seems like it could be a very coincidental, like that's one time that this overlapped. I don't know if that's enough to base a big prediction off of.
I agree with you on that one. Of course, looking back at history, we can kind of get an idea of how things could potentially react. They say history sometimes rhymes. Take a look at past halvings. How has Bitcoin's price reacted? Where we're at now is not identical, but it's pretty damn close. Big rally pre-halving, kind of consolidate, dip, consolidate, dip, consolidate, and then it's off to the races. So I agree with you, Forrest. I think looking at a one-time thing is not enough for me to say, back then in the rate cuts, things were a lot different. We were going into the pandemic. Your businesses were shut down. People were not making money. I know here in Nevada, the unemployment situation was a complete nightmare. You had people not getting paid from unemployment that they were supposed to for months on end. So no extra money, bills piling up. So it is different. I think for me to make that comparison and say, hey, this is what happened when the last rate cut, I would probably need to see a few more of them. But this is his base case. Just interesting conversation to see where people's heads are at as far as the market. It's also important to remember, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but Benjamin Cowan is pretty much a Bitcoin maximalist. So I did mention Tcoin getting a big infusion of capital. So Pantera, I believe they're the largest VC in crypto, invests in the Tcoin with high expectation for Telegram's future. Telegram's decision in April to incorporate the Ton token gives Ton potential to become one of the largest crypto networks. Telegram, with its 900 million monthly users and 36.7 million monthly downloads, quote, is well positioned to bring crypto to the world because of its shared Web3 ethos. Forrest, are you bullish on Toncoin? We've kind of brushed it to the side a little bit, at least for me personally. But would this fall into the category of one of your coins that retail could come in and gobble up?
Yeah, and especially now it's kind of in the top 10. If this gets listings on major exchanges, of course. The thing with me is I've kind of faded. I don't know that there's any if it's live and you like actually have like tokens trading on top of this network yet. So I usually don't like to buy things before they have like a working product. Not that they don't have a working product in Telegram, but actually, like, is there? I'm unaware of whether or not there's like dexes on Telegram network that you can actually trade like meme coins through. That said, I mean, 900 million monthly users. I use Telegram. It makes a lot of sense. This is kind of like, I'm not surprised, but back 4 or 5 years ago, there was like a lot of like Facebook was trying to create a coin, and like other social media networks were potentially going to try to create coins. And I think it makes a lot of sense for a social network to do that. I think it makes sense for Twitter or X to come in and have crypto integrations. So yeah, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. At the end of the day, it's like it's harder to create. Like the biggest problem with half of these L1 ghost chains that nobody uses is they just don't have any users. They don't have any users. So if you're an app or a social network that has tons of users already, it's infinitely easier to go in and launch a cryptocurrency or network on top of that, and you already have users. The hardest problem solved. So
that is a great.
Would I buy it here? I would have to dig more into it and see what potential upside is. But it's already a top 10 token, so it's like market cap's pretty large. Doesn't mean it can't go higher, but yeah, I'd probably wait for a deep correction personally.
That is a great point for us. In any business, right, the goal is, so whether you're opening a restaurant, you want to get people in your restaurant, right? In this case, in crypto, it's all about the users. If you have no users on your platform, doesn't matter how great the technology is, doesn't matter how great your food on the menu is at your restaurant. If no one eats it, it does not matter. If no one knows it even exists, it does not matter. I will tell you, I'm also on Telegram, and there's a prompt in the Telegram for the wallet, and you can buy, sell, and trade Toncoin in there. And that is a native currency of Telegram. So it's, imagine like Zelle, right? I can send you, or Apple Pay, I can send you money in Telegram, but I have to use Toncoin. So it's very interesting. I do agree with you, Forrest. It's not on Coinbase. I don't think it's on Kraken. So once it gets those listings, the biggest issue for me is the centralization of the wallets that hold it. I think the number is like 70% of the top 100 wallets. You know what? Let's actually check it right now. I think it's the number is like 70% of the wallets. 70% of the coins are held by the top 100 wallets. Let's just take a look here, see if that number has changed, and it's kind of vet my number. And so this website is called coincarp.com. You click on rich list, and here we go. So top 100 holders. Holy shit, I was wrong. Rocco, pull this up. Top 100. You want to pull up my laptop? Okay. I'll pull it up myself. There we go. Top 100 holders, 93.38% control Toncoin, the top 100. So very central. I mean, even if you look at the top 10 holders, 61.55%. And these do not include your exchange wallets because there's a separate category here for the exchange wallets. And so that is my biggest issue with Toncoin. Could it potentially be a good thing if these guys decide not to sell and not to dump, which I find that very hard to believe? Maybe not now, but definitely towards as we rally up towards the top of the bull market. That's kind of my thing, but you can't deny the fact, as Forrest mentioned, 900 million users are going to have access to this currency. That is the only one that you can use in the Telegram app. I mean, it's pretty big. Those are kind of just my thoughts there. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Good show today. Anyone else have anything to add in before we sign us out of here? Ashley, you've been kind of quiet there. And anything you want to say to the community chat? I know you and Jimmy were going back and forth something about Disneyland.
Yeah, he said he went to Disneyland and Trader Joe's, my two favorite places. Like, man,
What is one thing you never leave Trader Joe's without buying?
matcha.
Matcha.
Yeah, it's weird, I know.
Like for tea?
Like they got matcha powder. It's really good.
Yeah, Trader Joe's is pretty dope.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. All right. That'll do it for today's show. I would definitely recommend you guys go follow Forrest on X at Cysteine Research. I believe we have a prompt for that from Mr. Nightbot. And then we're going to have Forrest back tomorrow. It's going to be another really good show. Anyone else have anything to add except for Robin? Forrest, any parting thoughts?
All good. I think just got it out this week, and I think next, mid-May should be better. Fingers crossed. Could be wrong there, but just have a feeling next couple of weeks should turn this trend around.
Maybe the great flippening was instead of April being a bullish month and May being sell in May and walk away, it's flip-flop because we know April was bad. Can May be good? We'll see. I think the Hong Kong ETF, seeing that 300 million in outflows, very interesting. Very interested to see what those are going to look like tomorrow. So yeah. All right. That'll do it for today's show. And with that being said, Rocco, got pain in my elbow, tendonitis, so I can't do like the full tornadoes. Anyways. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure to spend today with you. Make sure to come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. Love you guys. Until then.
I have a way to fix your elbow.
Marinara sauce?
Show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger turn